Okay, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Morgan. It's another beautiful day in Hawaii, and I wanted to film this video as a follow-up to my previous video talking about my really bad experience with Steel Dive watches. And yeah, I got really negative in that last video, and I wanted to take a pivot and talk about something a bit more positive and a bit more uplifting. Because I think my channel probably needs a little bit of that. You know, like the last three videos I've made have been one, the Steel Dive video where I was talking about how I screwed up. The video before that was 5 watches that I would never buy, and then 5 mistakes in watch collecting. And I don't want this channel to become a slew of negativity, because watch collecting is supposed to be a enjoyable journey. It's supposed to be fun, you know. You're supposed to have fun when you're wearing your watches. So this video is going to be about what it really means to me to be a watch collector. So before we get into that, I'm going to do a customary wristwatch check. Right now I'm wearing my Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. This is the 43.5mm size. It's freaking gigantic on my wrist, but somehow I am able to get away with wearing it. I think it's mainly the fact that the lug-to-lug size is not that big relative to the watch. The case size is definitely big. Again, it's 43.5mm, so that's a big dial that you've got. It's a big case size. But as far as the actual lug-to-lug distance itself, I think it's only about 48 or so millimeters, so it's not that huge, you know. It's quite manageable if you're an average size dude like I am. But moving on from that, this is what it really means to me to wear or to be a watch collector. And that's the first point, is to wear your watches. You know, it seems so plainly obvious. Obviously you would wear your watches if you're a watch collector, right? But I think that's a concept that's lost on a lot of people nowadays. Especially if you are a flipper. If you're a flipper, you're not a watch collector. I'm going to take a stance and just say that straight up. If you flip watches, and I'm not talking about, I bought a watch, I kept it for 5 years, I fell out of love with it, and then I decided to sell it on. No, I'm talking about the kind of dude that goes to an authorized dealer, buys a watch, and then the next day they list it online on Chrono24 or whatever. You know, they go to a gray market dealer and they try to sell it for a profit. That is a flipper. Flippers are not watch collectors, all right? They're not watch collectors. They don't have a passion for watches. They just care about making a quick buck. So you cannot be a watch collector and also flip your watches. That's just not how it works. You have to wear your watches. You have to wear the watch on your wrist on a regular basis, you know. And speaking about that, do not obsess over scratches. I see so many people on YouTube that are freaking out about the scratches that they put on their watches, and it's in my opinion, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. You know, your watch is made out of stainless steel most of the time. It's gonna get scratched up. If you wear your watches regularly, they're going to get scratches on them. For example, my Seamaster 300, the case is actually in really good shape, but if you look at the clasp right here, you can see the reflections in the light. There's a lot of visible scratches on there, and the bracelet and the clasp have definitely seen better days. But with that being said, they're inevitable. I've taken this watch with me into the ocean. I've taken it with me on hikes through the mountains in Hawaii, in dense brush. In those kinds of environments, scratches are inevitable. And that's the beautiful thing about this particular style of watch. This is a tool watch. It's used as a tool. It's used for a functional purpose, and it's meant to be taken to places that, you know, maybe more delicate watches can't be taken. And that's a good thing, you know? So I don't get it when people are freaking out about scratches. You gotta wear your watch. You gotta allow your watches to get scratches, because it's just gonna happen. You gotta accept it as a fact of life. Last point I want to make about wearing your watch is that you need to have an attitude of gratitude when it comes to wearing your watches and watch collecting in general. A lot of people are out there in the world right now, especially in 2023, who have much more dire financial decisions to make than, what kind of watch should I get? What brand watch should I get today? Which boutique should I walk into? There are a lot of people out there in America and across the world, really, who have much harder decisions to make than what kind of watch they want to get, And if you are the kind of person who is able to, buy watches on a regular basis, and isn't, necessarily financially impacted if their watch gets damaged, like, just consider yourself to be very lucky in this day and age, because you're quite privileged, to be frank, to be able to afford these watches. And that's going to be true whether your watch costs maybe $100 like this G-Shock right here, or several thousand like this Omega. That's just the fact of the matter. It applies at every single price point. Watches today are wants. They're not needs. They are truly luxury items. So just count yourself lucky that you're able to afford these things. Have an attitude of gratitude. The next major point that I want to go over, as far as what it means to be a watch collector, is that you have a regular relationship with a dealer of some sort. Unless you're a watchmaker and you're making your own watches, you're getting these watches from somewhere. You have to interact with somebody to buy your watches. And this is a reminder, going back to the thing about flippers, like, you don't want to take advantage of the relationship that you have with an authorized dealer by trying to flip a watch. Because that's honestly, in my opinion, one of the most disrespectful things you can do to a authorized dealer. And that goes for really any brand, whether it's Omega or Rolex, especially Rolex, but or Breitling or Patek Philippe or whatever. Like, do not flip your watches, because if you flip your watch, I'll say it again, you're not a watch collector. You're not a true watch collector. You're a flipper at that point. So understand that if you have a relationship with an authorized dealer, you need to maintain it, and you need to be respectful of that relationship. So just keep that in mind. The next point that I want to go over is going to be that a watch can signal to others who you truly are. The general theme of my watch collection overall is that I am kind of an active person. I'm kind of rugged, but I also like to take care of myself and present myself nicely sometimes. That's why I have these somewhat expensive sport watches. Because they're rugged, they're reliable, they were purpose built as tools back in the day. But at the same time, they're just nice looking. They look nice. They complement an outfit very well. And that's the message I like to send to people, that I'm someone that is active and who's got a little bit of a rugged side, but also knows how to put himself together nicely. And expanding this out a little bit more, a watch can signal to other people that you are responsible, because when you have a very expensive timepiece and you take care of it, then that shows other people that you maintain the things that you own and you take care of your possessions and your valuables. And that's a good message to send to people. a watch can also show that you're punctual, because if I'm, able to check the time whenever I need to, then I know, or people will know that for the most part, I'm never going to be late to anything. I'm always going to be either on time or a little bit early, because I'm keeping track of time. These are just the messages that you subtly send to people. This is all part of like a nonverbal communication that you have with others on a daily basis. Wearing watches is actually a part of that. And if you're going to be a watch collector, you should at least be aware of that. On the flip side, certain models or certain styles of watches can have negative connotations, for people. This is just an example, and this is purely my opinion, but if I am walking down the street, and I see someone who's wearing an iced out Patek Philippe, I don't necessarily have the best opinions about that person. Yeah, they can probably afford that watch, but I don't exactly associate that person's, I don't associate that person with having any sort of taste, or any sort of class. I'll throw a picture of what I'm talking about up here, but watches like that are way too ostentatious, in my opinion. They're way too flashy. They're very gaudy, and they're just calling way too much attention to themselves. It's going back to what I was talking about with Hublot in my last video. You are just the kind of person that has way too much money and not enough sensible taste. That's really it. So just be cognizant of the kind of watch that you wear, because you may or may not be sending that kind of message to people, whether or not that's your intention. So that's something to be aware of. The final point that I really want to talk about when it comes to watches and watch collecting is that these can be rewards for sometimes what is a very long and successful journey. I think I was saying earlier that this was my first luxury watch, over $1,000, that I purchased, and I was stationed overseas for a very long time. And while I was there, I had a lot of emotional ups and downs. I had some very high highs and I had some very low lows. I was overseas for 4 years. I was away from my family for a very long time. I didn't see them for basically that entire period of time. While I was there, I had to work extremely hard in my career to get to where I am now, and I really had to bust my ass in order to just stay afloat, and at some points even to stay alive. But whenever I look at this watch right here, this Omega Seamaster, I got this at the end of my tour, but every time I look at it and every time I put it on my wrist, it's a reminder of the challenges that I had faced and conquered, and the successes that I had in between. Because like I said, there was ups and downs. It wasn't all bad, but it wasn't all good either. But I look at this watch and I'm reminded of that. I'm reminded of all the good times and all the bad times, and how I was able to get through it all and make it through each day. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about watch collecting that there is. Christian from the Theo and Harris Watch Shop put it best. Watches are, as he says, watches are irrelevant to the time, but as vessels for memories, they have few rivals. I think that's probably one of the best ways that you can get this point across, because when you wear your watch on a daily basis, you imbue it with memories of your life, and when you look down at that watch, you can remind yourself of the things that you've been through, good and bad, and how you make it through each day. So with that being said, I'm going to stop the video there. Just to sum up real quick, make sure you wear your watch. Don't flip it. Don't obsess over scratches. Be thankful that you can afford these things. Have a good relationship with your AD. Do not spit in your AD's face by flipping your watches. And watches can be a subtle, non-verbal signal of who you truly are. So make sure that you're sending the right signal. And lastly, watches are rewards for a successful journey. So I hope you guys agree with me on these points. If you have anything to add, I would really appreciate that. I enjoy conversing with you guys down in the comments below. I respond to all 2 of the comments that are on my videos. So if you have any thoughts on this video, please leave it down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Peace.